Authorities looking into extortion as the primary motive in the Isulan bombing that left 18 people injured. A second NARCO video implicates President Duterte's partner Honeylet Avancenia. For the first time, President Duterte addresses a crowd in a campaign rally behind a bulletproof glass. And rescued Chinese giant salamander finds a new home in London Zoo. Good evening. Authorities continue to investigate into the bombing in Isulan, Sultan Kudarat that happened on Wednesday. The police says extortion is the motive behind the bombing. The local government of Isulan calls on the public to cooperate and be vigilant. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
Extortion is the motive authorities see in the explosion in front of Carlitos Chicken Restaurant in Barangay Calawag 2, Isulan, Sultan Kudarat around 3 p.m. on Wednesday. According to Police Regional Office 12 Director, Brigadier General Eliseo Tamrasco, the group Dawla Islamia led by Abo Turaifi is behind the blast which left 18 people wounded. Based on investigation, the Philippine National Police said the restaurant owner disregarded the two extortion text messages from the terrorist group, so they opted bombing the place.
Dito sa aming pag-analyze is yung tinatawag natin dito na Dawla Islamia terrorist group. Ito yung nakabis dito sa Maguindanao area. So, bakit natin nasabi? Bakit natin nasabi? Kasi one, doon sa signature ng bomb. Bomb signature. Two, dahil sa ating information. And three, based doon sa statement ng owner ng place, ng restaurant.
Nails were used as shrapnel, a 9-volt battery as power source, a cellular phone as the triggering device, and a plastic container to hold the entire improvised explosive device, according to the results of the investigation. Rasco narrated the perpetrator carried the IED wrapped in plastic into the restaurant. The suspect bought chicken, placed the explosive under a table and then left the restaurant. But one of the restaurant's waiter ran after the suspect, thinking the plastic package was left by a customer. The suspect took the plastic bag from the waiter but placed it outside the restaurant where it went off. Rasco added that based on the CCTV footage, the suspect acted alone.
Ang nakita natin doon sa CCTV ay isang suspect na may suot na surgical mask at saka jacket. So talagang kailangan natin ma-interview mabuti itong ating mga witnesses na kasama na dito yung mga victims.
According to Rasco, of the 18 injured, only 11 are remaining under treatment. The police said the suspect will be charged with multiple frustrated murder and damage to property by the Philippine National Police Region 12. Meanwhile, the local government of Isulan, Sultan Kudarat is ready to give aid to the victims of the explosions, which includes financial assistance, according to Mayor Marites Palasige.
Actually, marami yung nakalabas, pero nakausap na rin yung mga hospital. Depende kung anong mangyari sa hospital. Kung may babayaran namin. Tapos kung sa trabaho sila, hindi sila makatrabaho, hindi kami ng cash assistance.
The situation in the town is back to normal, while authorities call on the public for cooperation and to report any suspicious individuals or activities.
Taga-Isulan, sa mga Isulanon, huwag kayong mag-worry at huwag rin kayong mabahala. All you have to do is maging vigilant, no? Let's all pray para sa katahimikan ng ating bayan. And then be vigilant, no? Makilaw sa lahat ng gawain. Magmatsyag talaga kasi this is not just playing the extortion maybe.
All military checkpoints have been ordered to implement security measures. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
A second video of a certain Bikoy that has surfaced online implicates President Duterte's partner Honeylet Avancenia this time around. But Malacañang maintains this is part of the administration's detractors' black propaganda. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
After a video that links presidential son Paulo Pulong Duterte to an alleged big drug syndicate accusing him of receiving millions of pesos worth of drug money surfaced on social media, a second narco video where Alyas Bikoy reappears, who claims to be a former member of the same big drug syndicate, is now implicating President Rodrigo Duterte's partner Honeylet Avancenia. On the video, which Bikoy calls the Real Narco List Episode 2, admitted he did not see Honeylet personally during transactions. This Bikoy is saying that in the terror record he has, there is a codename Vega Rega whom he believes is on the top of the list and among those who receive the largest portion of money from the syndicate. He also mentioned the name Veronica Salvador as an account holder referring to Honeylet's middle name. For Davao City Mayor and presidential daughter Sara Duterte, the attack is no longer new and is just another baseless accusation.
I do not think there is anything worthy there na mag-comment ako. Kanang mga ingana is not new. Katong 2016 during election time, naana ng mga accusations na ingana. Karon na medyo nagbago lang ang ilahang story, but it's still the same. It's all accusations and baseless accusations.
The palace has reiterated the narco video is just part of black propaganda against the president and his family. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo is confident this will not succeed because majority of Filipinos trust the president's sincerity and fidelity to his duty. The acts of the enemies and detractors are doomed to fail, Panelo said. He added that in the almost 3 years of his presidency, they have painted President Duterte as criminal and evil, but the president's trust ratings remain excellent. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacañang.
Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon believes that a Senate Blue Ribbon Committee should resume its investigation on the Shabu shipment probe. According to Senator Drilon, the personalities who are being linked to illegal drug trade by a certain Bikoy on a video that has recently surfaced on social media should be given fair chance to clear their names. In particular is the involvement of former Davao City Vice Mayor Paulo Duterte, who he himself said he has an idea who Bikoy is.
Sino ba si JS? May ebidensya ba or dokumento ba si JS? Hence, it is best that the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee resume its investigation in order that those named in the video, particularly Mr. Duterte and Undersecretary Carpio, can clear their names.
For the first time, the Presidential Security Group uses a bulletproof glass shield for President Rodrigo Duterte during a public appearance. Meanwhile, Malacañang commends the Presidential Security Group or PSG for intensifying its security measures for the chief executive. Rosa Licoz is back to explain why.
Whether threats against the president are real or imagined, the palace is taking them seriously, according to presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo. And for the first time, the Presidential Security Group or PSG used a bulletproof glass shield during a public engagement of President Rodrigo Duterte. With this, Secretary Panelo said the palace commends the PSG for a step up and a job well done by intensifying their security measures for the president's protection. The PSG used a bulletproof glass shield near the presidential podium for President Duterte when he attended the PDP Laban campaign rally in Malabon City last Tuesday. The PSG has mentioned, with or without outstanding threats, it is imperative for them to implement the highest security protocols, and since the venue in Malabon was an open area, they decided to put a bulletproof glass. Presidential spokesperson Panelo also said the schedule of the president, especially with the public, will not be changed. Meanwhile, National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon said when a president goes hard against criminals and other threats, such as those of extremists and communists, the threat level on the president's life increases. Esperon added the people should trust the PSG in doing their job. It is President Duterte himself who criticized the bulletproof glass, which he called a picture frame, but also admitted he cannot do anything against it since it is the mandate of the PSG to ensure his security.
Alam mo, itong picture frame na ito, iyon ang hindi ko na kontrolado. Sumama man ang loob ko, magalit ako, hindi ko mautusan ang security setup ng PSG, Presidential Guards. Kasi sila talaga ang masunod. Pero palagay ko pa naman ang buhay ay swerte-swerte lang. Kung panahon ko na talaga, wala na akong magawa. Tignan ko lang kung ano kakapal to. Mukhang hindi matablan to ng bala. Baka pintik siguro kaya.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacañang.
The disputes between the leadership of the House of Representatives and the Senate is far from over. In particular is the issue of the so-called realignments in the 2019 proposed national budget. Nel Maribuhok tells us why.
The reservations letter of Senate President Vicente Soto III attached in the enrolled bill of 2019 budget has no basis. This is according to House Appropriations Committee Chairman Rolando Andaya Jr. Andaya said the reservations are just a personal request and the President may or may not take heed. Based on Senator Soto's letter to President Duterte, the 75 billion peso post-BICAM realignments of the House leadership is unconstitutional. The Senate President also appeals to President Duterte to consider disapproving the said realignments. According to Congressman Andaya, the Senate President's approval of the bill will not diminish by the said strong reservations. He also said the realignments are just adjustments authorized by the omnibus motion included in the bicameral conference committee report. He explained that the term adjustments subsumes realignments. But Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon has different interpretations of the issue. The issue of realignment is different after the budget has been approved in the BICAM.
It can be interpreted that suddenly you insert and you realign items in the budget, no?
Senator Drilon said there is a basis of the move of Senator Soto to include these reservations on the bill.
And therefore, the President has no choice but to veto because Senator Soto, the Senate President, said that portion of the bill was not validly passed.
The Senate Minority Leader clarifies that the President has no liability whether he approves the enrolled budget as a whole or vetoes any line items as this is part of the President's power. Malacañang is continuously reviewing the enrolled copy of the bill for the President Duterte's approval. As the 2019 budget will remain unsigned by the President, this is the first time since the Arroyo administration that the government has resorted to running on a reenacted budget. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
A rescued critically endangered species of giant salamander has a new home in London. Kat Dumaraos tells us why.
A rare Chinese giant salamander went on display for the first time at the London Zoo on Wednesday. The giant amphibian is named Professor Liu by the zoo. He was rescued with 5 others in a cereal box in Coventry in 2016 after smugglers tried to import him. Ben Tapley, the Zoological Society of London's curator of amphibians, said staff worked closely with Border Force to identify unusual creatures.
I was gobsmacked when we got the call to say that there were likely to be Chinese giant salamanders that had been smuggled into the UK because they're just a species that's not traded and they shouldn't be traded, and a species that we've worked so hard to protect in the field. So just getting the animals here at ZSL was exciting but also quite sad as well.
The Zoological Society of London said that the species was under threat after becoming a delicacy in China.
So the Chinese giant salamander is really unique because it's an edge species, so this makes it a priority for global conservation. So it's the world's largest amphibian, up to 1.8 meters, and it's endemic to China. And so basically it's a living fossil. There's nothing like the Chinese giant salamander.
Tapley said Professor Liu belongs on the EDGE species list. The Evolutionary Distinct and Globally Endangered, or EDGE program, works to protect animals that are critically endangered. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
The prices of rice in several markets in the country have gone down, but a farmer-led network says an increase in the price of rice must be expected in the coming days. Joan Nano tells us why.
Prices of rice in several markets in Quezon City went down by 300 pesos per sack, or equivalent to around 5 pesos per kilogram today. In Kamaning Market, premium grade rice is being sold at 46 pesos per kilogram from a previous price of 49 pesos. Prices of imported rice also went down to 48 pesos from what used to be 50 pesos. Local special rice, which used to be sold at 52 to 57 pesos per kilogram, is now sold at 50 to 56 pesos. The price of imported special rice is now 48 pesos from the previous 50 pesos per kilogram, while imported well-milled rice, which used to be sold at 44 to 46 pesos, is now only 42 to 44 pesos per kilogram. The prices of rice in Mega Q-Mart also went down. From the previous 38 pesos per kilogram of regular milled rice, it is now only 35 pesos. While local well-milled rice is now around 40 to 44 pesos from the previous 42 to 46 pesos per kilogram. On the other hand, from then 47 to 48 pesos market price of local premium grade rice, it is now being sold at around 46 to 47 pesos.
Bumaba ang presyo. Simula nung nakaraang taon pa, unti-unti lang ang pagbaba. Kasi unti-unti rin ang dating ng mga imported hindi naman dagsa
But according to Department of Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol, price reduction on rice is due to the lowering farm gate price of grains and not because of increasing supply of imported rice.
Actually, bumaba naman talaga In fact, in some areas, it's down to about 15 pesos. Speculation pa lang. Wala pa naman masyadong imported rice na pumapasok sa sa mga probinsya.
Despite the price reduction of rice, the group of magsasaka at siyentipiko para sa pag-unlad ng agrikultura or Masipag says the price of rice is expected to increase in the coming days as the effects of the El Niño phenomenon are worsening. Masipag is a farmer-led network of people's organizations, NGOs, and scientists. Based on the latest data of the Department of Agriculture, estimated value of damages in the sector has reached more than 5 billion pesos, especially on rice grains and corn. Despite this, Secretary Piñol earlier said that they are confident that this will not have an adverse effect on national production. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Agriculture Chief is about to sign the implementing rules and regulations of the rice tariffication law. One of the provisions in the law is a 10 billion peso fund allocated annually to improve the production of rice locally. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
Secretary Manny Piñol of the Department of Agriculture is just waiting for the final draft of the implementing rules and regulations of the rice tariffication law. Piñol said NFA employees that will be affected by the retrenchment are asking if they could receive the same benefits or package as those of the employees in the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, which will be replaced by the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. The official said he might sign the IRR this week depending on the final decision of the administration's economic managers.
After that, kung talagang yun ang decision ng economic managers, then I will sign the IRR.
Piñol clarified he is the one solely accountable for the 10 billion peso Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund or RCEF allotted annually. Farmers will be granted farming equipment and seeds. These are expected to boost the capacity of local farmers to produce rice but with less cost. The Secretary promised to strictly implement the disbursement of the fund.
I will be solely accountable for the disbursement and utilization of the RCEF funds. And because of that, I will be very, very strict about it.
Of the 10 billion pesos, 5 billion will be allotted to the Philippine Center for Post-Harvest Development and Mechanization or PhilMec and 3 billion pesos to the Philippine Rice Research Institute or PhilRice. Philmec and Philrice are both government corporate entities attached to the Agriculture Department. Meanwhile, Piñol believes the decrease of rice price and of the farm gate price of palay is just a speculation due to the anticipation that imported rice will be flooding the market. The official insists that the government has the power to stop importation once there is an oversupply of rice in the country as provided in the rice tarification law. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Today is the fourth time Luzon is placed under yellow alert because of unplanned outages among power plants. Sources say this may also lead to higher power rates for consumers. Monokson explains why.
Luzon Region's power reserve has been in critical condition since Monday. This means there is a thin power reserve which may cause power interruption. Because of this, the entire Luzon grid is placed under yellow alert. The National Grid Corporation of the Philippines defines yellow alert as a system condition in which the reserves are less than the capacity of the biggest plant online, which is 647 megawatts for the country's largest island. Today, Luzon Grid lost 920 megawatts of power due to unplanned outages among power plants. The 420 megawatt Pagbilao 3 coal-fired power plant in Quezon is down. 135 megawatt South Luzon Thermal Energy Corporation or SLTEC power plant in Calaca, Batangas. Malaya Thermal Power Plant 2 with 350 megawatts in Rizal. And 4 other power plants are also down. Aside from unplanned outages, the demand in Luzon has also increased because of extreme heat experienced by consumers amid the dry season. The yellow alert is in effect from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. when demand is high. Meanwhile, Laban Consumer Incorporated, a consumer group, calls on the Department of Energy or DOE to stop the implementation of the gag order on announcing a yellow alert status to the public. The group said consumers have the right to know what is happening so they can prepare in case of a power interruption. The DOE replied the gag order aims to avoid the spot market to be affected.
Yung katungkulan na ensure na ang presyo ay competitive at reasonable, nasa pamahalaan yon. Hindi mo yun ma-achieve dahil sinabi mo, gag order kayo. Ang sagot doon, bantayan mo, i-monitor mo at i-supervise mo.
Power rates are also seen to go up next month because of the yellow alert. DOE and the Manila Electric Company or Meralco said unplanned outages have an effect to the monthly electric bill paid by consumers.
Pero kung rates ang pag-uusapan, talagang tataas sa spot market na magkakaroon ng impact din sa share doon sa bilateral contract.
Tinitingnan natin ngayon yung presyohan sa spot market na mukhang nagkakaroon ng pagtaas, no? So kung yun lang ang ifa-factor in mo, may posibilidad din talagang magkaroon ng increase sa presyo sa buwang kasalukuyan na April, no? Batay dun sa nagdaang March supply month, no?
Meanwhile, the DOE and Meralco will make rounds to remind establishments to save energy to mitigate the thinning reserve of power in Luzon. Meralco is preparing the interruptible load program in case the power reserve in Luzon continues to go down. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Taguig City.
Manila Water clarifies there are barangays which experience water shortage but will not be covered by its one-time water bill waiver. Joanna explains why.
As Manila Water identifies the barangays, residents of Muzon, Taytay, Rizal are complaining. They say they were also severely affected by the water crisis and yet they are not included on the water concessionaires list of 20 barangays severely affected by the water service interruption last March. In these barangays, residents will be covered by the water concessionaire's one-time bill waiver. This means that they don't have to pay their April water bill. Manila Water's list includes several barangays in Mandaluyong City, Pasig City, San Juan, Taguig, and Binangonan, Rizal. Manila Water spokesperson Jeric Sevilla clarified they have identified 45 barangays severely affected by the water shortage, but they are still validating the remaining areas. He explained that not all residents in those barangays will be covered by the one-time bill waiver.
Merong mga barangay kasi na portions lang ng barangay ang talagang nawala ng tubig ng ganun kahaba, ng 7 days or more. So we are very cautious in terms of really identifying kung sino-sino yung mga affected na yon. So meron tayong sarili nating record, alam natin kung ano yung mga area na talagang walang tubig, but we needed to validate this sa field, no?
Poor water pressure may still be experienced in barangays located upland or in elevated areas, Manila Water added. 98% of their customers already have their water supply from 8 to 12 hours. The water concessionaire is targeting to normalize the water supply for their customers by the end of May. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Authorities are investigating the abduction of a trusted man of slain Tanawan City, Batangas Mayor Antonio Halili, and another victim in Laguna. Niña Armilio will tell us why.
Aside from determining the motive of the abduction, the police are reviewing CCTV footage to identify the suspects in the abduction of Alan Fajardo and Ricky Atienza in Santa Rosa, Laguna. Fajardo is said to be a trusted man of slain Tanawan City Mayor Antonio Halili, while the other victim is reportedly his driver and security escort. Fajardo also reportedly headed the mayor's action team under the slain Mayor Halili. According to the police, Fajardo has a scrap metal business in Batangas, which is deemed as a lucrative business in Calabarzon.
Sa ngayon po, under investigation pa rin. At tulad na nasabi ko, yung possibility lang na sa away negosyo ang nakikita namin.
According to the police, the victims were eating in a restaurant in Nuvali District in Santa Rosa City at around 8 p.m. when a group of armed men arrived and forced the two into a white van.
Tinutukan ng barel ang gwardya at itinali pa ang gwardya na nasa front guard at nag-rush up, tinakbo po nila ang tinutumbok ang pagkakalugar ng ating mga biktima.
The abduction came while the police are still struggling to identify the perpetrators behind the killing of Mayor Halili last year. Niña Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
From preventing accidents at work to improving your golf swing, advances in wearable technology were on display at the Wearable Technology Show in London. Consumer appetite for wearable technology is on the rise. Here's why from Asher Kadapan Jr.
At the Wearable Technology Show, Guided Knowledge unveiled their technology aimed at improving professional golfers' performance. It consists of an 18-sensor-based garment worn under a golfer's clothing which monitors the swing motion as they play. The data collected is then paired with an app which generates a 3D avatar of the player and their performance.
You can see that the numbers change here. Just by dragging your finger over, you can look at your feet, your position of your feet.
On the other hand, portable watch brand Oxytone is designed to replace finger-type oximetry detectors commonly used in hospitals to measure the oxygen level of the blood. The technology is said to be the world's first FDA-cleared close proximity monitor.
So it's a very comfortable device, very easy to wear, connected to the physician's portal, connected to the cloud, and patient and physician today able to watch their data and patient data, and physician can watch what happened with the patient in real time, 24/7.
Elsewhere, Catapult is a wearable solution designed to monitor athletes' performance by capturing data for sports scientists to analyze with the aim of making sure they perform to their full potential.
Catapult make wearable solutions for to enhance the performance of teams and athletes. Football, rugby, American football, basketball, rugby league, rugby union, the main kind of team field-based sports that we work in.
More and more entrepreneurs are plunging into this emerging market, bringing more ideas and possibilities to the industry. This is the 6th year the show has been running, which brings together 300 exhibitors and 200 lecture speakers. Asher Gadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue.
A Nigerian entrepreneur creates eco-friendly decorative items out of recycled paper. Bernadette Berdin tells us why.
Recycling paper instead of trashing it. This is the main story behind Funmi Adubi's paper craft, which she continues to enhance as she teaches students on how to shape paper flowers and other decorative items from recycled paper.
Nigerians are actually adapting to it. Like whenever they see my flowers, they're like, wow, is this really paper? Can I touch it? What materials do you use? As in, how did you do this? And that's why I train people too, to make them know that you can actually make something beautiful out of just papers.
Funmi uses old magazines to make boxes and other decorative pieces for homes, which she sells, she said. Even event planners are fascinated that paper, which others treat as trash, can be used as decorative backgrounds in events such as baby showers and photo shoot, among others. At first, Funmi had to battle with the challenge of convincing people to buy her craft.
Over time, when I was consistent and I didn't stop, people understood that this is actually beautiful, and I had to post the various uses of paper flowers, not just limited to backdrops.
The artist says she wants to experiment with more paper craft techniques and grow her services to reach more clients in the country. Bernadette Berdin, UNTV News and Rescue.
And to finally complete the most significant news for the day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. The Department of Justice, or DOJ, on Thursday indicted Daraga Albay Mayor Carlwin Baldo, who is tagged in the killing of Ako Bicol Party List Representative Rodel Batocabe. Baldo and 5 others have been charged with 2 counts of murder as well as 6 counts of attempted murder at a court in Legazpi, Albay, according to DOJ Acting Prosecutor General Richard Padulyon. Other suspects also facing charges are Christopher Naval, Jaywin Babor, Henry Yuson, Rolando Arimando, and Emmanuel Rosel. Baldo was tagged as the mastermind in the killing of Batocabe, who was shot dead while attending a gift-giving event for senior citizens in Daraga Albay on December 22, 2018. His security detail, PO1 Orlando Diaz, also died in the incident. Batocabe was eyeing the mayoral seat of Daraga in the 2019 polls prior to his assassination. Meanwhile, Malacañang denounces the bombing of a restaurant in Isulan town in Sultan Kudarat that injured at least 18 individuals. In a statement on Thursday, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said the palace deplores the explosion and advised the public to be vigilant at all times. At least 18 people were wounded, including 6 minors and a pregnant woman, when a bomb exploded in front of a restaurant along the national highway of Isulan, Sultan Kudarat on Wednesday afternoon, April 3rd. Police's partial investigation found that the motive behind the explosion was extortion. Soc-Sargent Police Director Brigadier General Eliseucio Rastros said earlier Thursday. The police have also expressed sympathy to the victims of this barbaric act perpetrated by the peace spoilers who are sowing terror and fear into the Isulan community. Meanwhile, after a video that links presidential son Paulo Pulong Duterte to an alleged big drug syndicate accusing him of receiving millions of pesos worth of drug money surfaced on social media. A second NARCO video where Alyas Bikoy reappears, who claims to be a former member of the same big drug syndicate, is now being implicating President Rodrigo Duterte's partner Honeylet Avancenia. But Malacañang reiterates the NARCO video is just part of black propaganda against the president and his family. This Bikoy on the video is saying that in the Tara record he has, there is a code name Vegarega, whom he believes is on the top of the list and among those who received the largest portion of money from the syndicate. He also mentioned the name Veronica Salvador as an account holder, referring to Honeylet's middle name. For Davao City Mayor and presidential daughter Sara Duterte Carpio, the attack is no longer new and is just another baseless accusation. In other news, the prices of rice in several markets in Quezon City went down today by 300 pesos per sack, or equivalent to around 5 pesos per kilogram. Department of Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol said the reduction in the price of rice is due to the lowering farm gate price of grains and not because of increasing supply of imported rice. Despite the price reduction of rice, the group of magsasaka at siyentipiko para sa pag-unlad ng agrikultura or masipag says the price of rice is expected to increase in the coming days as the effects of the El Niño phenomenon are worsening. Based on the latest data of the Department of Agriculture, estimated value of damages in the sector has reached more than 5 billion pesos, especially on rice grains and corn. Despite this, Secretary Piñol earlier said they are confident this will not have an adverse effect on national production. Thin power reserve has prompted the National Grid Corp of the Philippines, or NGCP, to place the Luzon grid under yellow status alert. Luzon's region power reserve has been in critical condition since Monday. The NGCP defines yellow alert as a system condition in which the reserves are less than the capacity of the biggest plant online, which is 647 megawatts for the country's largest island. The yellow alert is in effect from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. when the demand is high. Today, Luzon Grid lost 920 megawatts of power due to the unplanned outages among power plants. Power rates are also seen to go up next month because of yellow alert. DOE and the Manila Electric Company, or Meralco, said unplanned outages have an effect to the monthly electric bill paid by consumers.
Pero kung rates ang pag-uusapan, talagang tataas. Sa spot market na magkakaroon ng impact din sa share doon sa bilateral contract.
Among the motives being looked at by the police in their investigation into the abduction of Alan Fajardo and Ricky Atienza in Santa Rosa, Laguna, is business conflict. Fajardo is said to be a trusted man of slain Tanawan City Mayor Antonio Halili, while the other victim is reportedly his driver and security escort. Fajardo also reportedly headed the mayor's action team under the slain Mayor Halili. According to the police, Fajardo has a scrap metal business in Batangas, which is deemed as a lucrative business in Calabarzon.
Sa ngayon po, under investigation pa rin. At tulad na sabi ko, yung possibility lang na sa away negosyo ang nakikita namin.
And for the news abroad, a wide swath of New Zealand's 250,000 gun owners say they accept there must be change after the tragedy in Christchurch. Jessica Eslava will tell us why.
The pre-dawn quiet of New Zealand's South Island is shattered by the crack of a bullet from Noel Womersley's finished Tika T3 rifle. For 14 years, Womersley has worked at home kill, shooting beasts for small farmers and cutting them up. Womersley, 48, who received his first firearm, a .22 caliber rifle, for his 12th birthday and now hunts with his 15-year-old daughter. Womersley was on a similar job in the hinterland beyond Christchurch on March 15 when a man in combat gear entered the city's Al Nur Mosque and then another and turned his high-powered military-style weapons on unarmed worshippers. 50 people were killed and scores wounded, prompting an outpouring of support for the nation's bereaved Muslim community and a swift crackdown on guns.
People like their guns. Some people, I guess, would have liked to have been in the army, but that's why they have these military style weapons. But yeah, I think they'll be a bit pissed off. Yeah, some of them won't. Like people like me won't care. There'll be a lot of people out there that have seen what's happened in Christchurch and they'll quite happily get rid of their guns because it's just devastating what happened.
The semi-automatic used in the attack will be banned, with exemptions for working hunters, and tougher licensing rules are on the drawing board. A wide swath of New Zealand's 250,000 gun owners, who account for about 1.5 million weapons, say they accept there must be change after the tragedy. As part of a new national firearm buyback scheme, he expects to hand in one military-style AR-15 assault rifle, a type of weapon used in the Christchurch massacre.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I don't think we need military-style weapons in our society. I definitely don't need them in my job. I'd use a sporting rifle, so it's not going to affect me at all.
Jessica Eslava, UNTV News and Rescue, Christchurch, New Zealand.
Meanwhile, Australia will fine social media companies up to 10% of their annual global turnover and imprison executives for up to 3 years if violent content is not removed expeditiously under a new law passed by the country's parliament on Thursday. The new law is in response to a lone gunman live streaming his attack on two mosques in Christchurch on March 15, killing 50 people as they attended Friday prayers. The gunman broadcasted his live attack live on Facebook, and it was widely shared for over an hour before being removed, a time frame Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison described as unacceptable. It is now an offense in Australia for companies such as Facebook Incorporated and Alphabet's Google, which owns YouTube, not to remove any videos or photographs that show murder, torture, or rape without delay. Companies must also inform Australian police within a reasonable time frame. A Malaysian court started hearings Wednesday on the corruption charges on former Prime Minister Najib Razak following previous delays. Pauline Pico explains why.
Former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak has gone on trial for the first set of some 42 corruption-related charges he faces. Some of the charges include abuse of power, criminal breach of trust, and money laundering related to a former subsidiary of the State Investment Fund 1MDB or One Malaysia Development Berhad. Multiple appeals by Najib's legal team delayed the start of the trial, and the sums of money involved in this first trial are just a fraction of the billions of dollars that prosecutors contend was illegally siphoned off from 1MDB. The charges relate to $10 million prosecutors say was diverted from a subsidiary of 1MDB to Najib's personal bank account. Najib faces nearly 36 other charges involving more than $2 billion in total.
I'm here today to support Datuk Seri Najib, and I believe that this is a malicious prosecution, selective prosecution. So they are creating a lot of cases, trying to create the perception as if that Datuk Seri Najib is already guilty.
Following last May's election, police raided properties linked to Najib, seizing cash, jewelry, and designer handbags worth around $250 million.
This is a very important case, and it has had political implications, so it must be as legitimate as possible. So people shouldn't complain about how long it takes, because it has to be a fair trial. Justice must be done and seen to be done. So the issue of how much time it takes, it really shouldn't arise.
The Attorney General is leading the prosecution. He told the court that as Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, and Chairman CF1MDB's Board of Advisors had wielded maximum control over the nation's purse and nearly absolute power. Najib is currently free after posting around $1.5 million bail for the various charges he faces. Pauline Pico, UNTV News and Rescue.
Japanese prosecutors arrested ousted Nissan boss Carlos Ghosn for a fourth time on Thursday on charges of trying to enrich himself to the tune of $5 million at the automaker's expense in what media reports linked to payments to an Omani dealer. The arrest comes just a day after Ghosn pledged on Twitter that he would hold a news conference on April 11 to tell the truth about the allegations against him. After being wrongly imprisoned for 108 days, my biggest hope and wish today is for a fair trial, Ghosn added in the emailed statement. The latest arrest, which national broadcaster NHK described as a highly unusual move for someone who has already been released on bail, marks the latest dramatic twist in the once-feted executive's fall from grace. Tokyo prosecutors said Ghosn had cost Nissan Motor Company Limited $5 million in losses over a 2 to 2.5 year period in July of 2018 in breach of his legal duties to Nissan with the goal of enriching himself. A new 3D printed jet suit is said to be the next frontier in human flight. Ferdy Petalio will tell us why.
A completely new 3D printed jet suit took its first public flight on Wednesday, taking off and landing without incident a couple of times at the USS Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum in New York. The new suit, printed in nylon and aluminum, has 5 turbojet engines, 2 smaller ones on each arm and a larger one on the back. On hand to pilot the latest jet suit was Sam Rogers, additive design leader at Gravity Industries.
Yeah, the flight went really well. Just stabilizing at the start, getting a feel because we set the thrust for the temperature on the day, and then stabilized and came up, did a little hover in front of everyone, and then another hover after. So yeah, felt really good.
According to its maker, flying the Gravity jet suits relies on the pilot's ability to balance and demands a complex interaction of different parts of the brain, inner ear, muscles, joints, and visual system. But with enough practice, flying a Gravity jet suits become as natural as walking and running. The new jet suit is made by the British company Gravity Industries, which was started in 2017 by inventor Richard Browning, who dared ask, "What if?" Gravity Industries was in New York to take part in the Designing Our Future Summit, a showcase for British innovation and design sponsored by the British government. Gravity has also launched the 2019 UK Innovation Challenge, which runs until April 30, 2019, with a prize of flight demonstration at UK schools. Ferdy Petalio, UNTV News and Rescue.
Underwater films and scenarios kept in the closet for as long as 5 years can now be shot in Belgium. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
A brand new underwater studio opens in Belgium. The 30-foot deep pool, located in Vilvoorde, specially built as a movie lot, was presented on Wednesday. Swedish director Joakim Hedin had already shot scenes for his new film Breaking Surface in the studio in January. In the movie, 2 sisters went on a winter trip in Norway, but the Arctic adventure turned ill-fated. It is the first movie to be filmed in the Light Studio, owned and managed by Wim Michels.
It's of course for us a big day, and it's a big step for our company. We're opening 2 dry film stages and 1 very specialized water stage, and this is the most unique water stage in the world, I think.
I think and I hope that this facility will be around for 100 years, and it makes us quite happy. It's quite fun to be the first production to shoot here.
The underwater studio has a movable floor and poolside cranes to lift boats and other props into the water. Staff are on standby to train actors. Light Studio managing partner Karen Denson said the studio is making a lot of films and dangerous scenarios that have been kept in the closet for as long as 5 years, possible to shoot.
But here it's possible to actually shoot it in a safe way. That's one of our main concerns. Of course, you need to get the movie done, but the main concern is always safety.
The studio was funded by a Flemish government agency, Viceo, for 1.1 million euros, dedicated to support innovation from companies in the Flanders region of Belgium. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news this April 4, 2019. On behalf of Rina Villamor Camara and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo, and before we close, we will recap the today's significant soundbites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
Dito sa aming pag-analyze is yung tinatawag natin dito ng daula is nabiya. Ito yung nakabihis dito sa Maguindanao area. So, bakit natin nasabi na sila? One, that's a signature ng PAP signature. picture 2 is dahil sa ating information and 3 based doon sa statement ng owner ng place ng restaurant.
Alam mo, itong picture frame na ito, iyon ang hindi ko na kontrolado. Sumama man ang loob ko, magalit ako, hindi ko mautusan ang security setup ng PSG, Presidential Guard. Kasi sila talaga ang masunod. Pero palagay ko pa naman ang buhay ay swerte-swerte lang.
Bumaba naman talaga eh. In fact, in some areas, it's down to about 15 pesos. Speculation pa lang. Wala pa naman masyadong imported rice na pumapasok sa sa mga probinsya.
We are very cautious in terms of really identifying kung sino-sino yung mga affected na yon. So, meron tayong sarili nating record. Alam natin kung ano yung mga area na talagang walang tubig. But we needed to validate this sa field, no?
Sa ngayon po, under investigation pa rin. At tulad na sabi ko, yung possibility lang na sa away negosyo ang nakikita namin.